Good evening, everybody. Well, as you've seen there on my intro, the 11 p.m. update is out. I actually got it 10 minutes ago. And it's now 140 mile per hour winds, and the pressure dropped a couple millibars down to 948. Still moving west northwest at 10 miles per hour. And the next update will be 2 a.m. I won't be live for that. I gotta rest sometime or other. This thing is just looking gorgeous. Looking gorgeous. And let's go ahead and look at the cone. Slight change. Let me go full screen and cut the music. And I'll blow it up for you all. The cone is shifted a little more east. And remember, the more confident area that I was thinking about was right here. Well, guess what? They widened that area up between these 2 points. They're calling for it by tomorrow evening to be 150 mile per hour winds. That's real close to Cat 5. Thanks, Molly, for hosting my stream. If we take a look at the scale, .157 or higher is a Cat 5. So if it gets to 150 tomorrow, that's a real strong Cat 4. And only 7 away from a Cat 5. But when we go back to the cone, let's take a look here. Okay, this point here should be 150. Yeah, that's at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, they changed it already. 8 o'clock in the morning, they're calling for 150 mile per hour. And let's go to the next one. That's 150 at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So it's holding its own. And then it starts dropping back down in the 36-hour forecast by 8 in the morning. On the 1st, they've got 145. So it's going to start dropping off. And when it gets over here to Nassau and the Freeport area in the Bahamas, they've got it down to a 130 mile per hour. I'm not sure why, but that's 72 hours out. That's at 8 p.m. on the 2nd, and which is Monday. And I don't understand why it would be dropping down that far, because those islands aren't that big. I mean, it can skirt over these doggone islands like nothing. Oh, yes, it is possible. Like I said earlier on my last broadcast, I am not going to take that off the board. It could definitely hit Cat 5. You know, come tomorrow, 150 mile per hour. It only needs to get 7 more mile per hour winds, and it would be a Cat 5, and that's way before it even gets to the Bahamas. Is it going up the coast now? Could be. Remember, anywhere in this cone is where it could go right now. Now, if you notice from the last broadcast, the cone doesn't stretch over in the Gulf near as far. It's more toward the east. So they are kind of thinking You know what, Farmdy Girl? It could be the reason why it's going to go that low over the Bahamas is very possible it could do an eye wall replacement, but I don't know how they could predict that on the eye wall. So I'll have to do some more investigation on that after I get off here to try to figure out why. Yeah, Sean's saying it's going to hit Miami. I don't think so. He keeps saying that, and I keep telling him he's wrong. And you know how darn kids are. Hey, Jen. Darn kids want to argue with their parents. Take a glance at Port Nassau. People are still drinking and waving at the camera. Look at the waters. They're still really calm. Of course, they're in the port. And let's go ahead and take a look at the models. I don't think they have changed yet. We'll look at the GFS first. And let's go ahead and play this. See what it looks like. There she comes from the bottom right. Ah, the GFS has changed a little bit. It's got it running into shore further south than what it had. Do I trust the GFS? Not yet. Watch it here. North of Miami. Around the Melbourne area, it looks like. And then right up the coast. So, look at the euro. I don't think they've updated this yet, but they might have. Let's see here. 12Z, it was updated at 8 o'clock. So let's see what it says. Boy, it just gets close to the coast. Let me blow this up for you here. What plays? Yeah. The eye wall doesn't make landfall. But it's closer to shore than what the last model run did. And it's got the pressure dropping clear down to 954. So I don't know, folks. I don't quite trust the GFS. I really don't. Now, I was looking at some other models, and just for giggles, let's look at the NAM, the new NAM Nest. I don't think it'll go out far enough yet. We'll see. Ah, look at where the new NAM at the tail end of the run is. It's just not quite there yet. Going to have to wait till later. It's got it headed for the Miami or north. If, I'll put it this way, if the eye wall stays far enough offshore, they won't get the hurricane force winds, which is right close to the eye wall. As far as tropical storm force winds, which are still really stout, they're going to get it. They're going to get it. And as this thing goes up the coast, remember, as this thing rotates counterclockwise, it's going to be pushing water right into the shore. So there's going to be some really nasty storm surge. And already, folks, Brevard County already has mandatory evacuations. I do believe part of that county would be Barrier Islands. I didn't get a chance to look it up, but mandatory evacuation for Brevard County, Florida. So, do I have a lot of people watching right now from Florida? Or I see there's more people logging on. Do 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 do. Hey, Florida, speak up. Just in case you don't want to get in the chat and talk to us. If you're in Florida and you need to know the evacuation zones, here's the website for that. FloridaDisaster.org. O-R-G. Give them that website if they're in Florida. They can keep an eye on that page. If you're watching from Georgia or know somebody that's in Georgia, here is the website for Georgia where you can find out evacuation and other information. Anybody from South Carolina watching? Or know anybody in South Carolina? Come on, folks. I got 52 people watching on Twitch. 10 people watching on YouTube. Am I putting everybody to sleep? If you're in South Carolina, go to this webpage. Or know anybody. Hand out that webpage. That's the South Carolina Emergency Management page. Yeah, 57 viewers on Twitch. I had a lot more earlier. So, let's take a look at her. See what she looks like. Impressive. This is the infrared. Hey, Etchy. I can't show you a visible satellite. Naturally, there's no sun unless I go to a web page. Hey, thanks for the host. Appreciate that. Now, these storms that you're seeing over on Florida has nothing to do with the hurricane. But there are some storms popping up around Freeport and even down around close to Nassau as part of the outer bands from Dorian. The ex-husband lives down there. Are the kids with him? I better not say nothing. I know what I'm thinking. Look at this impressive thing. Look at these, as somebody said earlier, eyelashes. That's outflow. Those whispery little things looks like eyelashes. That's outflow. That's telling me it's really strong and getting stronger. This is one healthy. I better not say that word. One healthy storm. I'm gonna watch my language in case kids are watching. But look at those dark colors swirling around the eye. Thanks, Barbie girl. I try to be lighthearted when this is a very, very serious situation, but I try to be lighthearted about it. If anything, it'll help people watching feel a lot better. It's better than putting on some loud voiced hype. No hype here, so I am not going to get super serious and yeah, evil. Um, I'm not going to start that hype stuff. Well defined eye. I mean, that thing is just awesome. Let's take a look at water vapor. Well, if this thing goes up the coast, he's not going to get catch the eye unless he wants to jump on a boat. Look how dark that eye is on water vapor. That's just cool. Let's zoom out here. Now, Jennifer, I talked to her on Zello a little bit ago, and she mentioned about this brown area up here, which is like really dry air. What are the water temps? Mid to upper 80s. The closer it gets to Florida, the warmer it gets. Now you can't hardly see that low, that upper level low that I've been talking about for the last several days. It didn't go down to Cuba. It's actually southeast of Miami. Thanks, Becky. Let me take the low symbol off, and you can watch the rotation. That's the upper level low that's been help steering it. Now, the bad thing about it being, just off of the southern coast of Florida, this could help steer it up to the north. Tell you what, a couple years ago, Nathan said, "Okay, I've had enough. I'm never chasing a hurricane again." And then he came back last year. Or no, I guess he didn't. I guess he didn't chase Michael. Come to think of it, but he's going back down for this one. Yeah, Nathan's done several hurricanes. Now, anyway, what I was going to say is this brown area, this super dry area, this is along a cold front, and I don't think that dry air is going to stay there. I think that's going to dissipate before this thing, if it turns north, I don't think it's going to have to worry about it. It's so strong now that it'll push out. These outer bands going around it will just flood that dry air with moisture. It might kill some of the outer bands, but I don't think it's going to kill. Hey, thanks for the new follow. I don't think it's going to kill the storm. It might weaken it a little bit, but I really don't think it's going to bother it a whole lot. Yeah, Nathan did go down for Hurricane Barry, my namesake, but it was just turned Cat 1 right before landfall, so it wasn't that big of a deal, except for major flooding. It got to be a little bit hairy trying to find roads that wasn't closed. Yeah, it was. It's like me, easygoing, mild. Hurricane Barry was a whole lot like me. it still pissed a lot of people off. And I tend to do that as well, so you can ask my neighbors. Is Cat 4 bad? Yes. We're looking at 140 mile per hour winds right now. You're not going to stand up in 140 mile per hour winds. Do I cause flooding? Only when I gotta pee. There was some talk about adding a Cat 6 to the category. They decided not to. 157 mile per hour or higher is Cat 5 and as bad as it can get. And like I was saying earlier, if you're just joining, by tomorrow, they're expecting it to reach 150, only 7 miles per hour short of being a Cat 5. So could it hit Cat 5 before landfall or before it gets close to Florida? Yes, it can. They're not projecting it to. Where's this going to hit? It's way too early to tell. Let's take a look at the cones again. My main area of concern right at this moment, as far as the cone goes, is going to be up to that point. Everything else up in here, there's just way too much uncertainty. Some of the ensembles still has it going this way. Very few. It's quite a few has it going up this way. But some still have it hitting right in that area right there. So, but it could turn. It could make a left turn if that low weakens and the high strengthens to the north. It could come down here to Miami. But notice the Keys, unlike last night, the Keys are not involved. What the strongest winds was on Earth. Not right off the top of my head. By the way, I just seen it again. The airport at Orlando is going to close. That was 2 o'clock Monday morning. Yeah, 2 o'clock Monday morning. And, 2 o'clock, like 2 hours after midnight into Monday. Orlando airport's going to close. Daytona Airport, I forgot to write it down. I think that's closing Sunday night at Daytona. I forgot to write that down. I got to start doing that. Yeah, Sean just confirmed it. He's my backup over my shoulder here. Yeah, 8 p.m. on Sunday. Barry, is it true the higher you are up, the stronger the winds are? Yes, they are. If you're in a high rise, the higher you go up, the higher those winds are going to get. So if you're down in that area, do not be on the upper floors of a high rise or a parking garage, because the higher up you go, the stronger the winds are going to be. The only bad thing of being on the ground is going to be the storm surge. It's too early for me to figure out high tide just yet. I got to see what the timing of when the storm comes in to when the next high tide, and whether or not the king tide will also affect it, to kind of figure out what the storm surge is going to be. It's still too far away. No, if she lives on a bluff, you know, won't have to worry. But how high is the bluff? I mean, already they're talking about 15 feet or more waves hitting the islands in Bahamas. Could we see 20, 30-foot waves from this? You better believe it. I would not I would not even question that at all. I mean, yes, exactly, Dragonbard. If you're in an evacuation zone and when they tell you to evacuate, which I know in Florida, they're going to have zone A, B, and C. And they'll evacuate zone A first. And that's going to be the key areas where it's going to get hit the worst at first. And then they'll go to zone B, as in boy, and evacuate them. In Orlando, yeah, northwest. Get away from that East Coast. The further west you get, the less it's going to be at this point. Now, if she does make landfall, and like the other day, they had it going right up the spine of Florida, then there's no place in Florida that's safe. Let me get this back up here. Yeah, but if you're down there in Orlando, you better start driving for too long to get to another state. Goodbye's Disney World, right? I have no way of measuring it. You can see it there on the cone where it's at right now. So it's several hundred miles away from the Bahamas. I actually, until it gets closer to land, I don't have a way to measure it accurately at this point. No, you don't want to be in Disney during a hurricane. I mean, they're even going to have issues at Lake Okeechobee, which is right there. Now, they do have it, according to this cone, it's going to not be quite as strong as earlier predicted. But it's apples and oranges. It's still going to be so strong, especially like this particular marker, which is 8 p.m. on the 3rd. It's still 125 miles per hour. I mean, good God. It's still strong enough to cause terrible damage. I have seen people, tropical storms, not even hurricanes, do some tremendous flooding and damage from winds. So, the European, I showed that here a little bit ago, but I can show that to you again. Let's go Euro, forecast loop, and play. The main Euro still has it staying off the coast, but it does get really close. But when I look at the ensembles, which I have no way of showing you right at the moment, but some of the ensembles, a couple of them has it going over to the Gulf. Others have it making landfall. The most of them, believe it or not, have it making landfall. Yet this isn't showing that. And several has it not even getting near the coast. Yes, it is, Molly. As you can see, and the GFS is the same way. It's going to affect Georgia, South, North Carolinas, Virginia, Maryland. It could eventually even go up and affect Maine. That's way too far out to worry about it. If it makes landfall, they're not far from Orlando. They're calling for Tuesday evening at 125 mile per hour winds, by the way. Yeah, the most dangerous part of a hurricane is actually flooding. Believe it or not, more people die from flooding than what they do from the winds. That's actually a fact. Yes, we have several storm chasers that's going to be down there, and as far as I know, at least 4 of them will stream if Jen goes down. Jen, are you going? Nathan Moore is on his way down there. He told me earlier, I talked to him in private, he's got 3 large bags full of his equipment. And he's going to be all set up. Okay, Jen's in Kentucky now. Get your fanny down there, girl. So I know at least 3. Michael Koch will stream, Nathan will stream, and Jennifer will stream. As they get down there and start streaming, we'll do a multi-stream. I'll give you the link, and you'll be able to watch not only me, but all the chasers. I don't know why that's stuck on there. Yeah, that going live was a long time ago. I really don't like multi-twitch. I use multi-stream. A lot of people have trouble with multi-twitch, and it seems like multi-stream works better. Plus, over on the side, at least on the PC, you can set the arrangement of the streams. It gives you several different options, whether you want them side by side, top to bottom. Yeah, it's multi-stream is a lot better, and we will share that link when we get everybody down there and start streaming. Got 6 cases of water. I tell you what, if I was down there, now this is me personally. You got more problems, Becky, with multi-stream? Oh, that's weird. Anyway, I said earlier is if you don't have to evacuate before the storm gets there and contaminates your water, and you don't want to go to the store and buy water, or the store is totally out of water when you go, fill up every pan that you got. Clean your bathtub real good and fill it up. Look how many gallons your bathtub would hold. And you'll have more than enough water to last you 7 days. And the suggested amount of water is 1 gallon per person per day for 7 days. That's the least amount of water that you want to have. Yes, Lucky, I just got your message there. He says, Barry, is Dorian is getting close, or will I be giving more updates? Well, right now, they're giving me updates every 3 hours. So I've been doing that all day. As it gets closer, eventually my stream will be 24-hour stream. I may not be on during the wee nights, but I'll leave the stream going with the radar and satellite, and I will at least either me or Sean, as long as he's here, will update the text so you got the latest information. But most likely, once it gets real close to land, I doubt if I'll be sleeping. I didn't 2 years ago. I was up for 3 days until I lost my voice, which I'm starting to get hoarse again already. Hey, the party's right here, Dakota. The party is right here. Yeah, I'm going to try not to strain my voice. I'm not going to be on here much longer. I've already given everybody. I'll allow that one through. But yeah, 2 years ago, I was up 3 days straight. And the only reason why I gave up is because I totally lost my voice. And that was when I was mainly on Zello, giving constant information and updates. There's been times when I was helping during severe weather that I was up for several days, especially when I was helping Kelly, because Kelly was on the road all the time. And like one time he was by himself over in South Carolina, and he got stuck where he was at because the roads flooded out behind him and he couldn't get out. And so he was by himself, and I stayed up with him all night because he couldn't sleep because he was worried about the water rising and getting in his truck, which the water was rising, but thank goodness it never got inside of his truck. But I stayed up with him all night in case I needed to call for emergency to get him out of there. So that's not uncommon for me to. I take care of my chasers. I won't even go to sleep until I know the chasers are done and bedded down. It's going to hit Florida with waves, regardless whether the eye makes landfall or not. As the winds rotate counterclockwise, the northern side of it, even if it goes up the coast, the winds going around the northern side will push the ocean inland, which is storm surge. So I'm sure there's going to be some really high waves. Hey, y'all want to see something? I just noticed something on the port. What is that swimming around underneath there? Is that dolphins? Sharks? I see something big kind of laying around underneath here. Did you used to chase? Yes, I did. I started storm chasing in 1981 when I got my amateur radio license. My last chase was 2 years ago with me and my son. And yeah, it could be a manatee. I didn't think they were down there in the islands, but they could be. Yeah, I don't think a gator would be out there, Sean. There's something big because it slowly moved behind that underwater light. But anyway, yeah, I used to chase up until 2 years ago, and because of my disability, I really can't get out there. If that was a fish, it was a big sucker. No, there was definitely something moving. Actually, I can see it moving right there. Looks like a shark. See the dark shadow? I think that was a shark. Hey, Sharon. You typically don't see groupers in shallow water. Those are deep sea fish. Hey, thanks for the follow. So, Sharon, you got a plan? Have you made out your will? Thank you for the new follow. Sharon is on our team, and she lives down there in Florida. Yeah, it could be grabbing the fish that's attracted to the light. Because I did see right there was one, a small fish, just to the right side of that light. Staying home, and I have a will. Am I in your will? I'm just kidding. Oh, goodness. You know, you say it could be a ray, but it looked long and slender. What I seen dark down here, and what I seen up here almost looked like a dolphin, but usually a dolphin doesn't move that slow. It's probably sharks. Now, this is Port Nassau in the Bahamas. Yeah, Sharon, I want to go party there sometime. You're invited. I think the bartender and the waiter is the only one left there. Oh, what did he just dump in the water? It made the water cloudy, and it must be scraps. He dumped something in there. Hope it wasn't beer. Sharks will get all drunk and go crazy. There's something else big swimming. See that darkness? There's a couple of them. So, let's get back to the storm. If you're just joining me, thank you. Thank you for coming online with me. This is the latest forecast cone. I'll blow it up for you. Remember, the cone only tells you where the center might go. So, and that's not written in stone. I pretty much say that it's going to go within there with almost 100% certainty. But like I was telling Jen a little while ago before I went live, uh, when it was headed for Bermuda, uh, actually where I looked at the model tracks and where the center of the storm was, it wasn't nowhere near the models. It was north and east of the models. Yeah, it's way too early, especially once it gets past this point. Whoops. Once it gets past this point, I would say the rest of that area is way too uncertain. So let's just hurry up and wait. I've had all kinds of people asking me, Barry, where do you think it's going to make landfall? I'm not sure it will between now and Tuesday. It could go right up the coast and wait till Wednesday or Thursday and make landfall either in the Carolinas or Virginia. So, for y'all that's just joining, let me bring up the latest information. There you go. Still a Cat 4 at 140 miles per hour, 948 millibars west northwest at 10 miles per hour. Next update 2 a.m. and I will not be broadcasting. Most likely I'll still be awake at 8 o'clock in the morning. And now that there are warnings and watches being issued, the updates are coming in every 3 hours instead of every 6. So I should be doing my plan as of right now is 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 11 o'clock tomorrow night. That's the planned updates that I want to try to do. Actually, I'll come pretty close by tomorrow night where it's going to go. What does the pressure mean? In a low pressure storm of any kind, the lower that number, the stronger the storm is. Even in a supercell that's, may or may not produce a tornado, the lower the pressure, the stronger the storm. So that's what's been key in the last 6 hours or so, is this pressure is steadily dropping. Yeah, I'm in Ohio, Southwest Ohio. I stay away from all that nasty crap. So as it's getting closer, I'm getting more and more confident with the models, except for they threw me for a loop earlier. I was talking with Nathan right after one of my broadcasts, and I was showing the model during the broadcast, and it was right after that I talked to Nathan, and Nathan says, "Hey man, we've been talking. Euro's got that moving up the side of the coast, not even going to make landfall." It's like, you're kidding. Sure enough, I looked it up, and it had changed. Oh yes, it's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. Nice. It's elongated east to west, but those outflow bands that are forming, which you can see over here on the left, there's an outflow band that reaches right over to the Bahama Islands. So those are going to be some kicker storms all by themselves. Now, I'm not using my processor real hard. Let's see if I can bring up a web page to show you. Let's look at visible satellite after dark. I can do that with this website. This really taxes my processor, though. Let it load up the frames, and then I'll turn on the lightning, and we'll see where all the lightning is in it. Over there on YouTube, my Twitch is the same as it is there on YouTube. It's BGrayWX. So if you go to Twitch, just search for BGrayWX, just like it is on YouTube, and you'll find me. So now that I've got all the scenes loaded up, I'll show you that website. So now that I've got a few frames of it after dark, turn on the lightning. Now this is the GO 16 satellite that's actually picking up the lightning charges in the storm. As you can see, there's not any around that eye right now. It's just all around those outer storms. Now let's look at it from a different setting. This is a different setting. And there you can kind of see the more intense lightning. No, this is all satellite. It's nowhere near a radar site at this point to where I can see it on radar. Once it gets closer to Florida, I'll be able to look at it off of Miami radar site. So this is all the GOES East or GOES 16 satellite. That's Hurricane Dorian with the lightning overlay turned on. Do do do. See if it'll let me do cloud top height. Okay, it's in kilometers. I'd have to convert that, but looks like it's well over 14 kilometers. The current predictions of for landfall location and time, it's still too uncertain. I mean, here on the cone, they don't even have the center touching land. It's like right up against it. But this is 8 p.m. on the 3rd. 8 p.m. on the 3rd is where the center of this cone is. Now remember, it can shift anywhere in that cone. And if it, close that window here. If it comes down here towards Miami, that's a shorter path. So it would hit Miami sooner. If it turns and goes up here to Jacksonville, that's a longer path. It'd be the next day or two after that. So it's all going to depend. It's still so uncertain. And this thing keeps changing every 3 hours. Its condition changes. Every 6 hours, they're changing this cone. That can't be right. I mean, as far as what I seen on there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, it must not have been 14. It might have been 1.4. And, you know, like I've been saying for the last several days, let me bring up the Euro here and stop it. There's going to be the, well, let me change region. Actually, let me bring up a different website because I want to point something out. Go to Tropical Tidbits and look at their model run. We'll go Euro. I like Euro. Lower dynamics. We're going to look at the lines of equal pressure at and the 850 millibar winds. And then let me change region to Western Atlantic. And there's a good reason why I want to do this. Okay. That's not what I want. Let's go 500 millibar. There we go. See this brown area up here? That's high pressure. That's a ridge that's building. And as we go through time here, you'll see that ridge fill in the brown. Well, what's causing that ridge is a high pressure, and I'll point out where it's at for you. It's right there. And it's making this high pressure ridge. Now, if that stays strong, which right here on this model, it is not. But if it was strong, it would steer Dorian right into shore. So, what's going to happen here? Let me go ahead. Notice how this thins out. It's not near as brown. So that ridge has got a weak spot. I mean, it's still strong here. So that means it's not going to come up into Alabama and Georgia because you have this high pressure area getting stronger right in there. But what you've got, let me zoom in on it. See how light brown this is? This is a weak point. And look where the high is. The high's down here now. Clockwise spin on the high. Going to start sending winds that way. A weak ridge here in this area. So where's it going to go? Going to shoot right up through there. It's going to find that weak point. And now remember, when it comes to a hurricane, the larger the hurricane physically, it's got more mass. It's hard to move mass. It's like you trying to push a pickup truck versus a Volkswagen. Volkswagen's going to be a lot easier, right? Well, with the hurricane, it's the same way. It's got more mass. It's harder to make it turn. So it's going to be a little slow about turning, and that's the reason why the Euro model has it going like this to get to that weak point. Because of the mass, it takes it longer to turn. So it's going to find that weak point and it's going to hit up that direction. If this model stays the same. It could change on the next run. This ridge going across north of it could re-strengthen. It could be that high doesn't move around like this model shows it. So the timing on it, it's just so hard to tell. I mean, it keeps changing. My last broadcast, it showed it possibly making landfall on Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it's not really showing that it's going to make landfall. When you look at the cone, the current cone, it gets close to the area around Orlando, but it doesn't have it coming on shore now. As far as the center of that cone. But it can go anywhere in that cone, folks. Don't let your guard down. We will have streamers down there. Nathan Moore, Jennifer McMahon, Michael Koch, most likely Kyle Bauer. They're all going to be down there, and they will be streaming. There's something else. There's another area to watch, okay? It just earlier came off the coast of Africa. It's over here. And that has a medium chance or a 40% in the next 5 days. But that's a long ways off. Long ways off. I mean, it'll take it over a week to get here, but there's the next on the 5-day forecast for it, the 40% chance that it might form something. So that's the next one I got to keep an eye on, but it's going to be a while. Yeah, Ern, all the people that I mentioned are on our team. Okay. I see the water's getting a little more stirred up. I want to watch this later to see if they've got pull down shutters. I bet they do. Yeah, they turned off the lights there on the walkway. So they're getting ready to close. Drink them if you got them. No, there's. I don't see any customers there now, and they turned the underwater light off. I hope they leave some of those outside, like the roof lights. I hope they leave them on. NASA has been sky seeding hard in lower Texas. Come on. Please don't post anything that's not accurate. Seeding. Come on, man. You do that again, I'm going to just delete your post. Seeding is going to turn to hurricane. Seeding in Texas is going to turn to hurricane. Yeah, come on. Get real. We don't post hype or fake stuff on here. If you want to post anything, make sure it's accurate and pertinent. I may kid around, but I don't kid around with the facts. So there's your latest information, folks. Again, I'll bring up this information for those new viewers that might just be on. 11 p.m. update was still a Cat 4, 140 mile per hour, 948 millibars. That number has dropped a little bit from my last broadcast. Remember, the lower that number on the pressure, the stronger the storm's getting. Still moving west-northwest at 10 miles per hour. In the next update from the National Hurricane Center, the real information won't be till 2 a.m. And I won't be up for that, I hope. No, weather is nothing to kid about, especially this. Yeah, you get some weird people posting things. Not really. 10 mile per hour is pretty slow. I've seen them move double that. I was hoping that after it left Puerto Rico, that it would have sped up. That would have put the timing, a little sooner. Plus, it wouldn't had near the amount of time to grow. The slower it gets, the worse it's going to get, because the hot water, the bathtub water as I call it, is so strong, and the bathtub water is the fuel. It's the fuel. So the longer it's over that warmer water, the stronger it's going to get. It was 977. Yesterday the pressure was at 977. So it has really dropped. Earlier, between two of my broadcasts, it had dropped 20 millibars. At one point, it was 970 earlier, and it dropped to 950. And that was within a 3-hour period, because the hurricane hunters were flying out there during both of my broadcasts. Let's take a look. I forgot to show you the hurricane hunters. Let's look at my tracker. There is nobody out there. There is no trackers out there currently. How wide is the eye now? Well, I kind of have to guess because I have no way to measure it. I know the information that I had several hours ago, that the eye itself was about 25 miles wide. But until it gets within radar range, I have no way of actually measuring it. I'd have to guess, and I don't like doing that. But that was the information that I heard on the Weather Channel. They actually, and they also did a Facebook Live. Ken Graham, he's the director of the National Hurricane Center right now, and he did a broadcast on Facebook, and as well as the Weather Channel was showing it, and that's what he had said, that it was about 25 miles wide. The only plane from NOAA or NASA is one right there at their base outside of Houston. Now they do other flights. Yeah, it's over 40,000 feet around the eye. Definitely. It's got some really cold tops on it, so it's over 40,000. NASA and some of the aircraft are Air Force. Here's one of NOAA's here at Mobile. They do training flights. Here's a couple up here around Norfolk that I'm seeing. Another one up around Cleveland. They do kinds of other flights other than the hurricane. A lot of these are probably training flights, or they're looking. Something that they started earlier this year was actually flying hurricane hunters into severe storms to try to get more information about supercells. And so there's even a couple planes showing up out here around Los Angeles. So they're all over the U.S. And they do all kinds of other missions as well. So I have not seen today any of them that come out of Texas for this hurricane. They've been mainly yesterday was forgot to switch scenes here, excuse me, I'm getting tired. Caracas. Down here at Caracas yesterday, there was several that flew out of there. Today, all the flights that I've seen since I've been awake has been out of their base there outside of Tampa, which I see two of them showing up, but they're not flying. Yeah, there is a science project that are looking for sprites. Those are kind of hard to catch. I've only seen a sprite one time my whole life. But all the missions that I seen today came outside of Florida near Tampa. Right now, at this point, it's the closest base to fly out of. So, folks, I'm starting to get hoarse again. It's time for me to shut up. That's all the information I have. It's after midnight here. It's 9 after 12, my time. So, folks, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to rest my voice up so I can be ready for you. I will try the 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Excuse me. Definitely will do one around 11, then 2, then 5, then 8, and then 11 again tomorrow night. So thank you all for joining me. Thanks for the great questions. Thanks for any of the donations that I got. And I really appreciate y'all being on here with me as we go through this, what is very well going to be a very serious tragedy. So thanks for now, folks. You all have a good night. Sleep well. Get ready for me tomorrow. Catch you on the next broadcast.